Good day, Chief here for CTT. I actually wrote down a list today of what I need to talk about. I forgot to mention last week when my sons were visiting and we went down to the Dragon Inn. We took a day and went to the amusement park that is totally inside a building. I don't remember the exact location of it. I don't remember exactly what it was called. I heard about it prior to my kids getting over there, and I thought it'd be a fun day to take them there while we were down in Seoul. And it's like you're in this big train station in Europe, because there's big old long hallway that leads all the way down, and there's stores, there's shops, there's probably even big market stores for all I know on the way down, and it's just like everybody's just walking this one direction. Well, being the only Americans probably walking down there that day, because I don't remember seeing any other Americans, a Korean businessman, I guess he was a businessman, approached me, and he's go like, "Oh, you're an American." I go, "Yes." He says, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm taking my sons to the amusement park," and we were like 100 feet, 200 feet from the entrance, but couldn't tell from the crowd. And he was like, "Oh, no, I take you. I come up to my car, I take you." And I'm like, "The entrance is just right down here, sir." And he's like, No. I want you to come home and teach my kids English." And I'm like, "I'm here with my kids. We're going to go to the amusement park," which I think I see the entrance. And he goes, "Well, who are you?" Well, I gave him some phony name. I said my rank was lieutenant. I probably shouldn't have said lieutenant. I probably should have said a captain, because I don't think throughout my entire career I looked like a lieutenant, so to speak. So I told him I was Lieutenant Smith or something like that. I was up from Camp Casey, and he asked me what I did, and I said, "Well, I'm in the artillery." And so he says, "Well, give me contact information." I said, "No." He says, "Okay." Then he finally walked away, and my kids kind of looked at me, and they're like, "Dad, you're not Lieutenant Smith." I said, "No." I said, "I'm in military intelligence. I know when I'm being approached probably for some information. So that's why I give a phony name, a phony unit, and a phony location." I said, if I said anything real phony, like a camp that doesn't exist, he would have caught on. So we went, we had fun. Surprise, surprise, it was all inside. I thought it would just be like a small park, but this thing was huge. And I think the roller coaster like circumnavigated the dome, because it was just like a huge dome, and whole amusement park was inside. We had a good day. The lines went quickly for the rides, which we were quite surprised, even though they were super long lines. It's like we really didn't wait all that long. We rolled the roller coaster once, got off, and we got right back on. That's how short the line was for the roller coaster, because a lot of the South Korean girls were too scared to get on it, even with their boyfriends trying to pull them on. So that was hilarious. So we had a really good time. So that's two of the items. The last thing I want to talk about today is probably going to take a little bit longer, is I will experience my only 2 helicopter rides while I'm in South Korea, and the only 2 helicopter rides that I will have in my military career. And they were on a Chinook. And I've always heard that by design, the Chinook is a helicopter. It's not supposed to fly, but it does. We went down to a Korean headquarters for a officer staff meeting. Took all the staff officers where I work, all of us warrant officers, and we were in 2 helicopters. One of my warrant officers was a W01, was a warrant officer 1. And he had this look of panic on his face. And I'm like, "What's the problem?" He goes, "Chief," I kept telling him, "You can call me by my first name." He goes, "Every time I go in a helicopter," he was air assault, he says, "I rappel out of them. I never land in one." I said, "Really?" He says, "No, I've never landed in a helicopter. That's what scares me." I'm like, okay. He was in the other helicopter. I was in the other one because we had two. So we flew down for our staff meeting, ate lunch. They even had like a souvenir shop, which was really odd. It was a tiny thing. I didn't buy anything, and he was all pale face again. He landed okay, and a couple of his buddies said, he almost got sick. Now, if you get sick on a helicopter, that crew chief of that helicopter, even though he's an enlisted member, he will hand you the materials you need to clean his helicopter. He does not clean up your vomit. So that's what this is for. Or you pull your shirt out and you ralph onto your chest, and your t-shirt will hold your vomit. So we rode down level and landed. So we're on our return trip. Now, all the things I've seen Chinooks do is generally take off, fly a nice level flight, and land, or let the ramp down. Well, they left the ramp partly open for the trip, so it was nice to see out. And I rode towards the back so I could see outside, and plus I had a porthole window, that's what I would call it, so I could look over and out, so to speak. Not doing a radio thing, over and out. Don't say those two words together on the radio anyway. Had a captain tell me that's how you're supposed to sign out, and I'm like, no sir. So we're done for the day. We get in the helicopter. I guess I should have panicked when the chaplain got on a seat between the two pilots, put a headphones on so he could talk to the two pilots. I probably should have thought something was going to happen. It started out that way. Rotors, or the engines revved up, the rotor started rotating, and we're sitting on the level ground. Now, I never knew that a Chinook could do this, with the cockpit pointing up and just resting on the two back wheels, ready to shoot up like an arrow into the air. It can do that. So we started doing level flight. We started doing, let's go to the side. We didn't do any loop-de-loops. I don't think it could probably, well, you can't do a barrel roll in a helicopter because it falls out of the ground, falls out of the air. I think I've only seen one video where I think it was a Huey and it almost fell out, but we could do sideways, down, go steep down, steep up, go back to the other side, climb really steep. So that's what was happening on the return trip. And I was thinking to myself, I'm in the wrong helicopter. I need to be watching my warrant officer, who's probably wishing he had a parachute so he could leap out of the helicopter and not have to land in it, because like I said, we were doing sideways, climbing, we were going through mountains, we were didn't do nap of the earth, but we were hugging the terrain, so to speak, like we were sneaking on the way back home. And then we get over Seoul. And that's when we did more of the, let's turn to the side. So I'm looking out the back, and then they always seem to turn to the side, so I was leaning back and I was looking out my window, and I was like, yep, I can see the headline already. Chinook Helicopter crash lands in downtown Seoul, killing all on board and probably X amount of South Koreans. I mean, I wasn't panicked, but I was enjoying the ride. It was like being on a roller coaster because we all had our seat belts on, and kept looking towards the chaplain sitting between the two pilots, and he had his hands, glued to the back of their seats with the tumbling that we were doing. I mean, because we were this way, this way, this way, this way. I mean, we were all directions. It was rather fun, and like I said, it's the only 2 times I ever rode in a helicopter and got entertainment on the way back. My chopper was in the lead, so I could see them behind us. So it was like they were playing follow the leader. So everything we did, I could tell what we looked like, because I could see the helicopter behind us doing the same maneuvers that we just did. So I was like, oh, I'm in the wrong helicopter. The warrant officer made it home safe and sound, but he was white as a sheet when he got off the helicopter, and we all just started laughing at him. I mean, can't take a joke. Yeah, he could take one. He was a good guy. It was hilarious. I will meet him, 2 more assignments, I think. I'll meet him again, and he'll be a CW2 by then, and then I only get to serve with him briefly. But it was a fun day. I mean, like, I've never been in a helicopter. Like I said, never realized that a Chinook could maneuver like that and still stay in the air. Because every time, like I said, you see a Chinook in a movie or in a video, it's straight up, nice level flight, straight back down, not unless it gets shot down. So that was fun. I think that kind of wraps up South Korea. I'll have to think about it. It might be the end of Korea. I've talked about all the incidences that happen and all the troubles and tribulations that I had with some of my troops, especially just one section sergeant. Because I will meet up with I don't know if I mentioned this, I will meet up with the warrant officer I replace at my next duty assignment. And I asked him how he dealt with her. And since she was older than him, he gave in to some of her quirks. I didn't. I straightened her out a little bit as far as I was concerned. So this chief out. Remember, freedom is not free. The Ukrainians are proving it. I just wish they could take the offense, but I think they got something planned, and I think they're going to hit a weak spot here. We've been getting reports that Russia is concentrating on 2 fronts, Kharkiv and Kherson, and so they've been weakening everything else. So I think they're going to push probably either to the coast or cut off the force to Kharkiv and push them out of Ukraine. Can't wait for it to happen so I can go to Ukraine and hopefully bring back my fiance. So this chief out. Freedom's not free. Peace out.